Hello and welcome to the podcast of Unzip Media. I have with me today Mike Butcher, former editor-at-large at TechCrunch and currently so many things, founder of Pathfounders, but also still the Europas and Techfugees and all the other initiatives. Mike, can we talk about your, let's say, your trajectory a little bit, just to get some context of what you're doing right now? So when did you start with tech journalism at all?
I'm really sorry. Sorry,
No
I shouldn't
worries,
be on
I'm
my
totally
phone.
fine, totally fine.
I just had to do something. We're very busy here at Slush, so there's lots going on. I've been a journalist for a long time. That's the short answer.
Because you started in like early 2000s, right? I believe. Or even
No,
before that?
I was a journalist on the first weekly magazine about the internet business, as it was known then, in 1995.
1995.
Yeah, and I was the editor 2 years later. And I rode the dotcom boom up until about 2000, then joined a magazine called The Industry Standard, which is an American magazine. And then that shut a year later because of the dotcom crash. And then I freelanced for The Guardian, The FT, at the Times, and other titles, and then joined TechCrunch in 2007.
Were there already other writers at TechCrunch at the time? Were you the
Yeah, I
first
mean,
high
it was a
writer?
very small outfit run out of a house in Atherton in the Bay Area, and founded by Michael Arrington, July 2005, I believe. I freelanced for them for 2006, joined 2007, and then parted ways about 4 months ago,
Right.
after about 18 years.
So you started by covering like the European startups as well?
Yeah, I mean, TechCrunch at that time didn't have any European coverage.
Of course.
Initially, it was called TechCrunch UK, and they were going to have TechCrunch UK, TechCrunch France, TechCrunch Germany, and then pretty soon it was, there wasn't a lot going on in each of those countries, so it was simpler just to call it TechCrunch Europe and do broad European coverage.
So at the peak of TechCrunch Europe, how many people did it have here?
In the end, about 5, roughly, as a kind of a bureau to some extent. Yeah. So, we were doing a lot of European coverage, but also we were waking up the sites in the US for US readers, and occasionally writing US stories as well.
Of
Because
course.
when New York is asleep and San Francisco is asleep, and if you have a European team, it makes sense to write those stories.
Right. And how many people would be actually necessary to comprehensively cover the European tech? So you were 5. How many people would you have if it were just up to you?
Oh, if I had an unlimited budget,
Yeah,
it'd be probably about 40 or 50. I mean, it's there's a lot going on in Europe, and I think some of the bigger outlets have maybe about 10, 15 journalists, but I mean, I think also depends what you're talking about. I mean, there are many niches of technology.
Yeah.
There's defense, AI, cybersecurity, B2B SaaS, enterprise, you name it, hardware. So, I mean, there are many technology titles in many niches in technology, and so it's not just about startups and venture capital. The technology industry is very big.
And you're interested in all these niches, not just the VC part?
Well, I'm kind of a geeky journo. I got interested in writing about technology and the internet because I thought that it was such a fascinating subject, and I tried being a kind of generalist journalist on newspapers.
Right.
And I just, it was a bit, on 1 minute you're writing about cats up trees, or the local council, or
Yeah.
a politician, or whatever, or a car accident, or whatever it was, and the next, and that was just it was not very interesting to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't intellectually stimulating.
Okay.
And I think it was very highly intellectually stimulating to write about the emergence of the technology industry, certainly the internet technology industry, as was then, and obviously all the way up to now.
So your latest title at TechCrunch had been for a long time editor-at-large. What did it actually mean? What did you do?
Well, the phrase editor-at-large was invented in the 1970s and given to a guy who was editing a magazine. This is on Wikipedia somewhere. who they could never find in the office. So the editor was actually never in the
Okay.
office. So there was like an old-fashioned poster, wanted poster for a criminal, and in the cowboy in the West and the Wild West, and so they just put "at large" on the end of his
Right.
doorway on his title. So, but in British journalism, editor at large is a pretty common title for a journalist who roams around. It doesn't necessarily get stuck in one niche or beat or area, and maybe commentates on a wide range of subjects.
So, but is this something that you see as a very fitting one for yourself and the way that you wanted to work, the way that the for work that you did?
It suited me, and I was definitely roaming around a lot, that's for sure.
Oh yes.
And also, I didn't want to be nailed down in one particular beat anyway, because I think everything's interesting.
Right. Look, we all know that TechCrunch was not the only publication that had layoffs this year and last year. So can you, and a lot of people who lost their jobs are probably much less experienced than yourself. So can you talk about like how did you deal with like basically being let go as a journalist, like, and what would you say is a good approach to this?
Well, I think nobody likes being made redundant,
No, absolutely not.
and but I mean, in the media business, it's not uncommon because the media is a canary in the coal mine for the economy. When the economy is kind of a bit uncertain, it's very easy to let go of to downgrade advertising budgets and marketing budgets, and that will end up often affecting things like media, the press, etc. So in this case, TechCrunch was acquired by a private equity company. They decided not to keep the European team on, so that team was let go, made redundant, and now everyone's doing different things.
But how did you approach it? Like when you got the news, like what was on your mind? Like did you start looking for something else? Like did you take time to like think about what you want? How like what does a journalist do when they get the news?
Well, a journalist, to be honest with you, as you just said, lots of media companies have let people go over the last few months, and certainly the last few months as well. So um, I wasn't about to kind of go look at the job ads because there weren't any job ads really. So and I've always been curious about the idea of running one's own media company or trying to do a media startup. So I thought I'd give it a go.
But I mean, it's a totally different set of skills, though, being a journalist, a reporter, and running a media company. So it wasn't like, is this something? Do you think that everyone should consider, like every reporter who is out of job now?
Consider it if you want to consider it. I mean, I think that I think things like blogging have been around for a long time, and I mean,
Yes.
TechCrunch was a blog turned into a media company. Everybody's got access to the proverbial photocopier now. I mean, when I was a student, I made student magazines on photocopiers,
I did too, I
and
know.
did Quark Express and whatever, and turned out student newspapers. It was great fun.
I was a page maker, more of a person, yeah.
Oh, I hated PageMaker. That's showing my age. But access to publishing tools. Everybody's got access to publishing tools these days, and so journalists probably approach these kinds of things a little differently to say maybe the way influencers do it. But a lot of influencers have kind of become sort of almost journalistic in some ways. But yeah.
So you founded Pathfounders, and unlike many other publications that had been founded by former journalists, like from bigger publications, Pathfounders does not be a niche publication, right? It's still like more like widely European tech, even actually not even European, right? Widely a
Well,
technology publication.
yeah, we want to write about technology, and we don't really care where it comes from. And for obvious reasons, we're based out of Europe. Most of our writers are based out of Europe, but we'll be writing about big tech platforms in the Valley, China, European tech companies. No big deal. The thing that's interesting is what the product is. What's the product? Who are the founders? Who are the investors? What does it do? I mean, those are the most important things.
Why not niche down? Why did you decide to go like still like cast a wide net?
There's nothing wrong with being a niche title. Many of them extremely successful. It's not where I am as a journalist, as a person, right now. Maybe one day in the future, but certainly I like to go where the story is, and I think the story right now is in AI. Next year it might be something else. It maybe, who knows? But for instance, the story for a lot of people right now is defense technology. So, and that's a very valid and important area. But I feel I can roam around these subjects, especially based on, what the story is the story is of the moment, and things like where investment is going as well.
So what is your role like now? What's your day-to-day like? Do you get to write a lot?
Yeah, I have not been doing a lot of writing because we effectively soft launch a few weeks ago. Effectively, just announced the intention to build this company out, and we've been posting things here and there. I've written a couple of things. I have some columnists writing for me, and the idea really is to sort of feel our way into the subject, into the area, and but we'll be getting going in earnest in the next few weeks. Certainly for 100%, from January onwards, but we're still feeling our way into things.
How was the reaction to the announcement? Did you get a lot of interest from different parties?
Yeah, we had a really, really positive. Obviously, I would say that, wouldn't I? But yeah, I think I would say that the feeling is that people are hungry for a new media brand to be out there that is accessible, that is covering things well. I don't think we necessarily need lots more breaking news because that's been done quite well by a
Okay.
lot of my colleagues in other titles. Um, but maybe I think maybe just maybe a different slant, or maybe being a little bit more having a little bit more grit in the oyster might be interesting for people to read. And yeah, we had a I would say overall positive
Yeah.
reception to the idea that there would be a new media brand on the block.
I mean, it's also rather obvious that a bunch of people, especially particularly in this area in European tech, were really curious what you were going to do next, just because you're a very well-known face in the ecosystem.
Well, I'm well known because I've just been around a long time. So, yeah, no, and it's very very heartening to know that people are following what I'm doing, and I'm really kind of want to fulfil that, um, that the trust that people have imbued in me.
But what makes you think that you can succeed at it? Because I mean, there is a reason why all the layoffs happened. There is a reason why these media outlets were shut down, and that is mostly because their business model, they couldn't figure the right business model, they couldn't figure profitability, and so on. So what makes you think that in your case it will be different?
Well, I have no idea, to be honest with you. Let's just try and find out. Um, yeah, I mean, they say entrepreneurship is a bit like throwing yourself off a cliff and then assembling a plane on the way down, and that's kind of where we are. There's no, who knows if it'll work or not, but I think it's worth a try, and even if it only gets halfway to where I want it to get, then I think we'll have done some kind of decent job. Um, and perhaps it'll take a while for it to bed in and kind of figure out what we're going to be doing with it. We don't have all the answers right now, but I thought it is definitely worth having a shot and seeing what we can come up with.
And so the business, how do you see the business model of Pathfounders? Is it going to be a subscription model, advertising, additional services, events? What's the point? Yeah.
I think we'll probably do the same kinds of things that a lot of media companies do already, um, and maybe come up with a couple of other ideas as well. But it's all still kind of in the planning stage right now.
Right. And so does it mean that also your vision for the company is to eventually hire those 40, 50 people that are necessary to
I
cover
would
tech?
love it. I would absolutely love it. I think it's it's the best job in the world, right, working with a real crack team of journalists. It's so much fun. And, honestly, that's why journalism is not the most well paid job, because it's just too much fun. So many people want to do it. Uh, I would absolutely love it. And I would. I mean, you will only one can only really do what the market will bear in terms of funding and staff and contributors and things like that. So let's give it a shot. See what
Are you
we
raising
come up with.
funding, VC or otherwise, for this?
We're doing a lot of work around the business model right now, and but the idea is to come up with a sustainable model.
Right. And so far it's been mostly written output, little as it is, but you, on the more personal capacity on LinkedIn, you've been doing a lot of videos as well. Is this something that you see as an important format moving forward?
There's no point ignoring the fact that you can't just write and blog and break stories and print. Oh, not print, but certainly in the written world. There's media has been increasingly multimedia for the last few decades.
Yeah.
And we've seen how the rise of social media has been incredibly important to the media business. And you've got very large media companies like the Financial Times and Bloomberg literally putting their journalists in front of an iPhone and telling them to go and writing them scripts and stuff like that. A lot of it's very well produced. So, and that's the way. And the reason is because that's the way the audience consumes media now. And so there's no getting away from the fact that you can just write some headlines and some articles. That's going to be always going to be a big proportion of what you do. But certainly, we've all seen, especially in the tech media industry, the rise of a lot more multimedia approach and social media approaches to subjects. So yeah, of course, why not?
I also see we have a few meters from here, guys from Scaling Europe. There's also ETN, another outlet launched, not exactly a journalistic outlet, but still. So they do this interesting format of long form live streams. Do you think this is indeed a format that will have its place in the mix
I
moving
think
forward?
it's clearly got its place, probably slightly more in the influencer space than what you might call independent, um, highly independent, hard-hitting journalism as such. But they're covering the industry from their angle in a way that works for their audience, which is completely legitimate and fine. Um, and the streaming angle is very interesting, and I think people kind of got interested in it because of the outfit in the US called
Yes.
TVPN, who would do these like 3-4 hour streams. And it's quite clever because you can interview a lot of people in one go, and then you can cut it up into social media posts, and those social media posts go viral and act as marketing funnel for the stream so I think it's obviously a very clever business model that's effectively been invented out of thin air, and I think also it's something that's happened, especially from people who have been in the industry. So TVPN, those guys have actually been founders. Some of the guys in doing the work over here in Europe, ETN, etc., and others, they've been in tech
Yeah,
companies.
yeah, yeah.
So they're not coming from the journalist angle, but they're coming from the tech industry
Oh,
itself.
exactly. And to wrap it up, there's like no way not to ask about the future of media and journalism in the world of AI, as they say. So, like, does AI have a place in the newsroom, you think? And what will be the impact of it on quality, the business models, and the future of media in general?
I think there's two things to say mainly about it. Firstly, that AI as a tool in journalism is 100% here, especially in things like big data, data journalism, investigative journalism. Perhaps when you have a lot of documentation, you have to sift through. That can be done in minutes or seconds and minutes now, using generative AI, often interrogating documents. Um, uh, in terms of output, some media companies have clearly, started to produce AI-driven content. It might be around financial results or sports results or things which require less kind of, human nuance. Um, I don't think anyone really wants to get into the world of producing enormous amounts of AI slop, effectively, especially if it leads to factual errors. And unfortunately, there will be some less reputable outlets that will just pump out a lot of stuff, and of course, countries like Russia have been using it to pump out disinformation, unfortunately. But there's going to be a place for it for obvious reasons. It's just I think that nobody really wants things which aren't which are just AI slop. And I think actually, on the flip side, we'll probably, because there will be so much AI slop being produced at some point, we'll probably see the rise of people who want output from real humans, categorically rubber stamped as by a human, written by a human, produced by a human,
Yeah.
shot by a human, interviewed by a human. And I think people will start to go, well, okay, that's all. We've got all the AI slap, but what's actually going on? And I think that might well become, they're very important, and I hope it does.
Yeah. And just to understand like where we draw the line with this. So for example, there was this recent story of a Business Insider essentially encouraging journalists to use generative AI for drafting like the first draft of the pieces. Is this too far or is this still okay?
It's not possible for me to comment on the policies of other organizations.
No, but just for yourself, apply it to yourself.
From my own perspective, I don't like the idea of AI writing my pieces. I occasionally use an AI to critique something I've written and to almost act like a kind of a sub-editor, like a co-pilot sub-editor, where it goes, you can critique this piece. What are there any holes in the argument or whatever, and it can suggest things, and then you manually change the article that you've written based on your own your own ideas, really.
Yeah.
And I think that's a legitimate use of it. Unfortunately, I think people who get into the idea of having AI write things, you don't know what's in there. And especially more complex pieces, there could be all sorts of errors and strange kind of hallucinations that appear, right? So,
absolutely.
In a way, in the same way that coders use AI as co-pilot for coding and for engineering, I think writers can use it for a co-pilot in terms of things like sub-editing, but not as just churning out the whole thing on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time. Thanks a lot for answering the questions, and good luck with Pathfounders and everything else you're doing.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it, and good luck with this podcast. Amazing work.
Thank you.
Yeah.